is going to play for his own farm, and that's where I want to start this narrative. You know, Kuray going to play for his farm, especially if he gets something like Karthus, which is going to be banned away. Volkan probably going to look for his double Scuttle Crab into full clear as well. So these are two junglers that play pretty similar game style, if not with a shared champion pool, and Kuray right now seems to be able to do it consistently at a higher level, so puts a lot of pressure on Volkan to potentially once again look for a different pick.
And to see if he will once again go to the Taliyah if we do see Bombers decide to ban away that Kindred. Limiting that, Kuray still played a bit of a high-tempo game on the Taliyah jungle, was able to still have an impact in a lot of those early lanes, but Nautilus instead will be the ban away. Bolulu, once again, a guy we expect to play utility champions. With Lissandra getting nerfed, with Sion mid, Urgot mid much less prevalent, Nautilus was his new go-to pick.
Yeah, and the reason that I think Nautilus is really smart here is because his wave clear is really, really good, and he's level 1 seems great. So the fact that that early push allows Kuray to do things like cross mid, look for double Scuttle Crab, look for the early invades, is a worry to Volkan's playstyle in particular. So I think getting rid of that, trying to, you know, limit the push potential coming out level 1 is going to be a smart idea. And Ryoma needs to step up because he had a pretty shocking game 1 performance. Didn't have the best OPL gauntlet either from memory. Certainly wasn't the hard carry that OPL fans would have been used to seeing. Going up against Bolulu, very promising young talent from the TCL. Excited to see this guy play more games, actually. I can't wait till he plays Null. They seem to be, you know, maybe potentially
and what
toe-to-toe.
And what it looks like when the Nautilus is into the picture, what he's going to go to next. And interestingly enough, with the choice between a champion like Jace for Ruin, they've opted to keep Kuray in the zone of comfort picks and have given him the Kindred. Volkan will get the luxury of a counter pick if he has anything in his pocket for the Kindred. Of course, Rek'Sai is up and available. Maybe not the most comfortable matchup, but could try to make it work.
And this makes sense to me, right? Because all of a sudden, if you take Jace, then the burden of execution is on Mimic to be able to outplay Ruin. And I don't know after game 1 whether you want to throw that gauntlet towards the top laner of Fenerbahce. So instead, going for more of that, you know, team fight, global presence, high tempo picks makes a lot of sense to me.
And how do you feel about the Bombers playing 1-3-1? That's my question.
They're actually not a bad 1-3-1 team. They play a lot of Tahm Kench during regular season. I think that they're a team that is able to navigate the side lanes. Do they play it to the same level of Fenerbahce? I don't believe so. I think Fenerbahce seem to be much cleaner in the macro sense of the game. But it does lend heavily towards the way FBI, who I've played with in the past, not played with, but have known pretty well in the past, wants to play the game.
And now they have 2 tools to do it with the semi-global ultimates of both the Galio and the Taliyah, so are set up for a bit of success there, but giving up a Kindred and a Braum and what will eventually be an additional 80 carry is going to be a difficult team to team fight against, no doubt. And now with Aurelia locked in, curious to see if this will go into the top lane, if this will go into the hands of Ruin. Very much fits his MO as a carry player, or if we'll see Bolu try his hands at it.
Yeah, well, the reason I was actually pointing across is because Fenerbahce look like they're kind of setting up for a 1-3-1 as well. They go towards the Aurelia. They have a Braum. Both of those champions, Aurelia does much better in a side lane than team fight. Braum does much better in setting up mid lane push and rotating into jungle. So I think that when you have a look across the board, Bombers go with the pivot first, actually. They pick up the Kai'Sa. All of a sudden, you know, maybe looking towards a little bit more team fight heavy composition for the Bombers lineup.
But it's tough too, because of course, while it won't be as strong in lane as something, say, like Illusion, it will obviously also offer a lot of ability to move across the map. The potential for this Bombers lineup to appear in any lane if they are able to get priority is very high past the level 6 mark, but Vars will be banned away, limiting some of those strong laning carries for Hades. Hades, once again, a guy that has a bit of a creative champion pool, loves lane-dominant champions, love the Cassio and is strong, loves the Lucian. I imagine we'll see him go for something similar here as the Jace. Now going to be the final ban inside of Bombers.
Yeah, and you know, looking across, the fact that they've only thrown a Rise Jace ban at Ruin, who we, like, from the way we're talking about it, seem to be the win condition for this lineup. It is pretty interesting. Once again, they are a lineup that don't really care about playing AD top side of the map. We've seen multiple games where they've taken both Jace and Aurelia to just set up the very, very strong 1-3-1. So I like the fact that Bombers removed that option. In saying that, you know, if they now just pivot Aurelia into the top lane and take something a little bit more control style as well, the 1-4 certainly still a viable option for Fenerbahce. And I feel like, you know, whilst 1-3-1 is better, they're just looking for an isolated matchup of Ruin into Mimic.
And they're set up down to do so, and it feels like the Camille, a very confident pick. Of course, I need to double check. I'm just assuming this is Taliyah in the jungle. I know you have a mid laner who enjoys Taliyah mid. Do you expect we could see Ryoma play it? Is there a chance?
Ryoma does play Taliyah mid lane as well. So even though he hasn't played it this year, it was one of his biggest picks coming in. So certainly a possibility, and that's a confident pick there, Dracos.
incredibly confident. Draven now locked in, paired with a Braum. This is going to be tough to fight the Draven. Just incredibly strong lane bully early in the game for Hades, looking to make up for what was a lackluster performance in the previous game. And
there we go.
ooh, Fenerbahce laying down the gauntlet with the Azir.
That's a real nice pivot coming out of Fenerbahce because, as I mentioned, you know, all of a sudden potential pivot into teamfight. Camille with Galio, lockdown CC into big knockup. Kai'Sa for the teamfight. That is a gauntlet thrown.
Mimic accepts the challenge. He sees it. He says, let's go toe-to-toe. Let's make it about snowballing. Of course, Fiora buffed on this patch, increased stun. If he is ever able to parry into the Aurelia, she will lose that trade instantaneously. This is going to be an explosive match.
And Aurelia got buffed, you know, up to the 2 seconds. And it's not just about the stun, it's about the attack speed slow. Aurelia relies so heavily on the ability to be able to trade autos in an effective way. If Mimic ever lands at, you know, improved riposte, going to have a lot of advantage. And this is a good matchup for Fiora players. Fiora should win this a lot of the time.
And I'm excited to see because the other champion that I did not expect to see on this map spawn is a Camille jungle. Of course, nerfed repeatedly. We've seen it firsthand. We played with a few the other day, and you know, the ganks are still incredible. This champion gets so much work done, but if you're not able to find any success early game, it's so hard to keep up after the nerfs that came through.
Yeah, and we keep saying that Volcan plays for farm, but Camille kind of a terrible farmer as well. So I think Kirei is going to have the advantage of that. Also, as a Kindred player, you ever dodge out on that E, it's just like, it's open season for Kirei in this matchup. So I think that, you know, a lot of agency being given over to the MVP of the TCL. And just top to bottom, I think that the Fenerbahce lineup made really a lot of sense when they were going for 1-3-1. Then I love the pivot to 1-4 with the control mage in the mid lane. I think that the zone control of Kindred ult plus Azir to be able to shove people out is just so potent. You know, really like the way the coaching staff has set them up for success into this game.
And here we go, the second game of the day for both of these teams. It is 1907 Fenerbahce Esport on the blue side versus the Bombers representing the OPL on the red. Spawn, before we get into it, one interaction I want to note. Of course, Camille ult will hit the first target, but will push away all the secondary targets. So in theory, a positive interaction if you can deny some of that Kindred ult potential. But now, we've been talking about the jungle all day, but I think we just have to again. You don't really get a choice once Camille is locked in, Spawn. And I think the first 5 minutes of this game are going to decide so much of the early pace in the sense that if Balkan gets a kill or two, Bombers are going to be in the driver's seat. But if he doesn't, things are going to get tough fast.
And I think even beyond that, right, when we talk about this mid-jungle, you know, push priority, ability to be able to impact the map, Ryoma has to have agency on this mid lane because Taliyah does not scale terrifically towards the latter stages of the game, especially when you compare it to something like an Azir. So if you're not able to unlock this Taliyah, get her into the side lanes, kind of open up that highway, as we saw Fongvu Buffalo do in Game 1 versus the Bombers, and the game becomes incredibly difficult to play. So, you know, ability to shut down Curate is there if they play it well, but if this goes disastrously, it could turn into a scaling nightmare for the Bombers lineup.
And what kind of message does it send? Normally we see an immediate lock on the jungler when Kindred enters the game as far as trying to find that mark. Kire's immediately locked on the 80 carry. He says, watch out, I am ready to go bot lane if I need to. And Mimic already taking a bit of control on the top side of the map. Going to be a tough level 1 for Ruin. Of course, until level 2, it's a bit difficult. Good sidestep, though, but burning the Flawless Duet is going to be tough. Really wants to hit that side Vital. The fact that Ruin has been able to perfectly space around it just means that Mimic is not able to get the positive trade that he wants and will lose a few creeps as well.
Yeah, certainly did. And didn't really deny any experience from what I saw. That's a very nice Vital spawn for Mimic there, but not able to proc that one either. And you can see Ruin just trying to navigate the earlier stages of this lane. It's going to be a path for bottom lane Scuttlecrab coming across the Kure. And it has been spotted out by the Bombers, I believe. So that does leave Ruin open for potentially the dive, especially if this turns into a 3-buff, which it looks like it's going to be for Volcan and topside control.
And a bit of fortunate RNG in favor of Kire in the sense that that spawned on the bottom side, the place where his team did have lane priority to protect him when he went for it. Would have been much more difficult if it spotted on the top side, would have had to give it up. So already getting that mark very early on. Puts him in a decent position in Volcan. Grabbing the buffs here. Where's the first gank going to go?
Or is it going to just be a fight over this Scuttlecrab in the mid lane? Because you can see Volcan is camping it out, I believe. He's actually started it.
Spotted. Kire starts to step forward. Balkan not even going to take the risk. Knows the skill check is there. As long as Kirei just sidesteps with the dance of arrows or flashes, really no way for him to contest there in the 1v1.
Yeah, well, Balkan's just level 2. Kirei's level 3. You know, buff to buff to buff doesn't grant you level 3 at the moment. So Kirei going to be able to come away from that. Of course, you know, when you're looking at experience coming from Gams, double golems is king at this stage of the game, and that hasn't been picked up by Balkan because double golem take sucks.
Yeah, I mean, really, single target camps are fine for you in the sense because you have the, the precision protocol, but after that, your clear is miserable without that stun.
So instead, going to opt for a Raptor take that takes, most of his health, and, all of a sudden, ganking path limited, and you do feel like he needs to have that early game proactivity. In saying that, looking across CS numbers, you can see a much more proactive early game for Ryoma. Has been able to pick himself up the wave advantage already in bottom lane, doing fine into the Draven for now.
And I like the Fenerbahce have made a bit of a pivot and have set, Hades up to be a little bit more lane dominant. Was on the Tristana into the Varus previously. Good sidestep from Ruin there. Getting caught by that parry would have been massive. Of course, reminder, if you don't already know, Fiora buffs coming through on this path, potentially why we see her a little bit more.
Yeah, pretty interesting, however, that we see the grass pick up still. With the Conqueror buffs, I thought that would be towards it, in saying that the rest of the kit, as you can see, the buff to the E, very nice to round out the mana pool, and then the riposte, the big one.
Ruin stepping forward, extending the trade. They're going to find the stun there, but not going to be able to get much else. Carry helps him push out the lane, will help him get a favorable early back. Probably with a few more items under her belt. He'll be much better equipped in this lane, and Mimic. You're right that the grasp kind of catches me off guard. It feels like he's just playing for that immediate early trading as opposed to the sustained extended trades.
Because it can stack up so quickly, dash in, proc the Vital, into an auto attack, into E reset, into another empowered E. It seems like a really nice way to be able to trade. Not to mention the fact that as you start getting cooldown reduction in your ultimate procs, it feels like super good to dance around someone and just have the additional sustained damage coming across. But obviously valuing that lane presence that grass gives you in the single auto attack trades a lot higher.
Does not want to commit to the extended trades. I guess it's just decided that the Aurelia passive is so valuable, the additional attack speed that it gives. Doesn't want to rely on outplaying with her boss there to win a lot. Just wants to have a bit more healthy early game trading. You can see the Cole as well, so it just feels like full commitment to a bit more scaling, knowing that he's not threatened.
Not only that, if you have access to the creep wave, Pel's actually very good sustain in lane, so we obviously...
Hades taunted up, taking a lot of damage, but Japone jumps forward. Nothing going to come from its spawn.
Once again, though, that is just Galio damage. Galio does so much damage at this stage of the game. Repulse.
Every time we see it, I feel like someone's going to die. I feel like we have a much slower... I mean, our first 3 games, let's be honest, pretty breakneck speed spawn, and now we have a little bit more time. However, Kirei, they look to change that. Multiple autos now going to get laid down. FBI potentially in trouble now. Sidestepping, looking to commit to the kill on Japone. First blood now coming out. It's going to be 2 taken over. Hades grabbing the cash out, but Bolulu on the way in. FBI desperate to get something back, but that's going to be it. The soldier steps forward. Now Taliyah looking to make a response. Hades needs to retreat. The flash forward. The ignite. Ryoma moving forward into the team. The knockback. Pushes his ear into the tower. Ryoma looking for the outplay of his life. Bolulu, can he do it? The double drops, and he's just barely not able to grab it. Beautiful play from Fenerbahce.
Yeah, it certainly is. 2 kills over to the Azir. Meanwhile, Bombers have forced Ruin out, and that's so many plates gone, Dracos. That's a 4-plate turret at 6 minutes into the game, but still on the flip side of the map. What a play out of Bolulu. To have the early rotate on Azir, a champion that gets pushed in, I think, at this stage of the game, and then to be able to come up with the 2 kills is clutch out of the rookie for Fenerbahce.
I think you're absolutely right, Spawn. And we talked about this with Fongwu Buffalo, but proving that you have the ability to play through other parts of the map is pretty massive. Mimic immediately going to use the parry there. You see Balkan steps up to Shadow just in case Ruin wants to extend the trade, but canceling the back will make things a little bit easier. Rogue now stepping forward. FBI only level 5, however, and Hades with the BF sword and the Vamp Scepter. Very difficult to extend a trade against a Draven with so much damage and lifesteal early on.
And that's the thing, right? You win the immediate trade, potentially, even though that one went awry. But then the next trade, he just has free ability to hit. Take another look at this one. Kirei, reading the play well, knows that the Camille's topside. In fact, you see the ping out there. So goes for the dive bottom lane. First blood does go over, but it goes to Rogue, not FBI. And then you're trapped underneath the turret with first rotate coming from an Azir. Disastrous play. Ryoma does what he can. Nearly thought he had the W as he flicked him in, but Bolulu just navigating the separate part of the fight, and Kirei auto-attacking freely, completely untouched on the back end, does lead to a big advantage bottom side for this Fenerbahce lineup.
And very risky shifting sands there from the Azir, right? Just well played. Very, very much on the edge of how that could have turned. And
and now you talk about like gold advantages, right? So that is a cashed-in Draven that goes back against BF as well as Vamp. He's playing against Kersh's Shard being picked up.
This Kershi Shard, man, that's 50 extra auto attack damage for one auto. Just because Draven has it on every auto spawn, as long as you only want, no, you're completely right. It's absolutely brutal.
I know when items are like kind of terrible items, when I don't really know their names for a long time, and then someone randomly goes, yeah, the weird Dirk thing that you keep struggling with is called Kershi Shard. I'm like, I don't care. It's not impactful to me. It's not impactful to Hades right now.
It's definitely not impactful for FBI, sadly. Will be a little bit better once he's able to grab that early Storm Razor and look for a Q Evolve. Of course, casting Rain, a lot of solo damage, but solo fighting the Draven probably is not the plan at this point in the game. Kire continuing to do well. Of course, 2 marks to his name. Looking for that 4-mark threshold on the Kindred and set up for some very good team fighting on the side of Fenerbahce, especially now that they have this small early game advantage. 500 gold in their favor, and the Azir benefiting from so much of that when he's the champion that isn't always supposed to dominate these early lanes.
Yeah, and I feel like that's the big worry, right? You just hit it on your head. You know, they go with the Talia to be able to pressure side lane. Talia at the moment can't approach the wave.
Can't pressure her own lane.
Yeah, just shoving in with reckless abandon. That means that rogues roam out of the bottom lane. Kind of does nothing at the moment, and got to be a worrying sign. You can see that they're converging on mid lane, but they have very good eyes right now on the Camille as well. So Rogue not going to be able to find anything, and Fenerbahce just continue kind of this oppressive push style in bottom mid that puts Mimic on a timer, in my opinion. Needs to have a bigger impact in the top lane, maybe take down that turret.
Taunt is going to come through, but Taunt just mitigates all that aggression.
Look at the inside track again from Kire. Like, you know, you go for the short, brief trade. You think potentially if we get an ult past the Braum, we can get something done here. We've now finally got a BF sword. We have a meaningful item, but not going to happen.
Hard read on play there. Volkan immediately has to leap forward. Galio now coming in though with Rogue's level 6. Kire be forced to use the ultimate. Now backing off. Can they turn the fight? The chain CC is there. Kire just barely alive for now, but they managed to find 2 in an instant. Ruin TPing in for the play, making those kills count.
Now you see FBI not able to make it there. It's going to be Ryoma ulting out, but top lane turret will fall down, kind of even up that trade. But Fenerbahce, I think they just have a really good read on the game state right now, Dracos, because they seem to be able to guess what the next move is coming and capitalize on it well.
And I think they just next level. They threatened the bot dive. They knew the Bombers would want to respond, that they'd want to be there for that play, and then they punished them when they made that play. They are just one step ahead in the game.
And I think that that's worrying, right? Because we've talked about the Bombers' lack of creativity and how to play this game. I think that the top lane stay and hit turret was really, really nice first game. Volkan looking for something.
It's a slow. Hades no mana, but of course with 2 axes up, you got to give him his respect.
I think he was going for that to kind of disjoint the recall timers, maybe sneak a Mountain Dragon across the flow of play. So I don't mind that pressure being put out by Volkan, but I think they have to go into a lane flip fairly soon here. And this is what I'm talking about, right? Bombers right now think the play is on bottom lane turret, but instead it is in the river. Kire's ultimate buys him so much time. Immediate teleport because they know Mimic isn't going to be able to respond with his own. It's on cooldown, so just much better idea about what the game state is at right now. And Ryoma, if not for a pretty creative use of that ult, would have also fallen down. Sure, they get the top lane turret. They're extending the advantage on the Fiora for now, but it just feels like the map read for Fenerbahce is superior.
Now as they grab the Rift Herald, it's only going to continue to extend. We take a look at the gold 1K advantage, 11 minutes, one of the smaller gold leads that we've seen today.
And this time around, right, they keep their Fiora, who's their strong side of the map, top, but they still lose the objective because they're just a little bit slower on the play. Meanwhile, Hades, he's a strong member. He's down bottom lane, you know, still 2 minutes left on turret plating. Has himself a Bloodthirst, so will be able to push in, potentially take that turret. Once again, just it's the little things in League of Legends that start to stack up and hurt you, especially when you're against champions like Azir. And I feel like the Bombers are feeling that pinch right now. You can see Volkan once again going to a lane. They want to make it fall.
80's on his lonesome. The TP now coming in. Bombers ready to try to force a play here. Mimic is there as well. Where's the parry going to go? Not going to connect with the flow. Volkan flashes forward, praying for that stun, and they're just not going to find it.
That's a good way to put it. That was a prayer. That was a desperate gank. You're teleporting in. Now all of a sudden, mid lane turret comes under fire.
Ryoma trying to sidestep. Kire in trouble though. Overstays his welcome, and Ryoma now on the retreat. Bolulu moving forward. Volkan now using that ultimate, trying to lock up Bolulu. Rogue stepping in, wants to land the CC, but so much damage coming in for Bolulu. They are still going to be able to take him down, giving the shutdown over to FBI, but trading back as the Whirling Death comes in to find another kill.
And you can see they're just chasing them across the map. Now they're pinging top lane. Someone has to be able to get up there and deal with Ruin. Sure, it's a 2-for-2, but so much extended from the Bombers lineup. Teleport in, nets next to nothing for Mimic, and he takes a long journey back top. In saying that, it is good that the FBI was able to pick up something, and Ryoma here kind of flexing some of the skill. Karay dashing through the pebbles, we saw it so much, flashing out of Balulu's range, make him expending the ultimate. And then the cleanup squad does come across once the CC lands, but good heads-up awareness play from Hades to throw out that ultimate.
No surprise, the Fed Draven does a lot of damage with that ulti. Rogue now the one in trouble. He is going to have to flash out. Just the edge of that knockup would have connected. Hades left alone on the bottom side. Ryoma, though, has to give him a little bit of respect as the tower will fall. Needs to keep him in an arm's length. Hades continues to get more and more terrifying. Given that solo gold, taking that down before tower plating falls. Good news for them is that the Fiora on the top side is quite strong overall, but still very difficult position. As you can see, the Draven with a 2K, or nearly a 2K gold lead advantage in this lane alone.
And I think a pretty easy job in these team fights, right? Stay behind Balulu, sit in the Kindred ultimate when it's up and available, and just don't get one hit. You know, Mimic probably not going to be all that much of a threat. Has gone for the heavy split push build in the Ravenous, probably into something like a Trinity Force as his next item. So only has to be able to live through the Wombo, which if he stays with Karay, is a much easier job with a Kindred on your side.
Absolutely, and kind of the beauty of the Lamb's Respite in that case is it makes up for the lack of what is a traditional frontliner outside of the Brahms. You get the pseudo tankiness, and there is room to push people out of that ultimate. They have, in theory, the tools to do so, but then just the easier recipe for success on the side of Fenerbahce on top of what is a pretty significant gold lead 15 minutes into the game. Waiting on Bombers to show us more, to show us that creative play.
Well, honestly, I'm waiting for Volkan to show up at MSI, right? Because he's just had a back-to-back shocker performance, and this is the guy that won Rookie of the Split, and we were saying is a lot of the catalyst for the good things that Bombers do. And don't get me wrong, Gold Lee's still not out of this realm of possibilities, right? 2,500 at 15 minutes, significant, but not unrecoverable. But it's just more the cohesion that Fenerbahce are showing around Summoner's Rift, the fact that they're all on the same page, and looks like Bombers potentially a little bit more split. This is a multi-language roster on both sides, but seems to be impacting the Bombers for a little bit more for whatever reason.
Volkan now moving in. They're immediately going to leap right onto him. He's going to go try to find the stun onto Kirei. The ultimate is now coming out, retreating back to the Galio knockup. Trapone is going to be the sacrificial lamb, but no, Kirei is going to deny that kill. Mimic now next on the menu. They're threatening with the taunt, but it's not going to connect. Mimic leaps in for one, gets the healing on another one. Now trying to back off as Kirei's trying to get out. Bolulu moves in. Double kill drops for the Draven. Ryoma needs to save the day in an instant, but no, Bolulu has already found another kill, and Ryoma is in no man's land because Ruin just showed up, and it is time to die. Ace comes out for Fenerbahce, a clean fight.
And time again, Fenerbahce are there first. They're guessing the play correctly, and they're positioning well. The two carries untouched. Karay does his job. And now the gold lead is very meaningful. Volkan thinks that he's getting to this play. They want to be proactive, but you can see Karay immediately reads it. The Galio ult slightly too early means it's not in the locked on target, and Karay just keeps Hades alive. No threat onto this Draven. Look at him free hitting everyone, Dracos. Balulu joins the party, and I mean, once again, really genuine 4v5. I mean, Ryoma, much earlier than Ruin to have an impact, but just does nothing.
And in these situations where you're behind on a champion like Fiora or Camille, it just feels like a DPS check. And you are not out DPSing a Draven that is this far ahead. 5-1-6 now, almost 3K gold in his lane as an advantage. 10K damage throughout this game already. Hades is an absolute monster. And I think we have to take a page from the Azael rulebook, which is don't fight when the Draven is there, Spawn. We learned that one the hard way the other day.
But the problem is they really are forcing kind of the areas of the map which are going to be the battle zone. You know, they're setting up their ward line better. They have more control. They're there first, and they're dictating the term in which the engagement is going to go down. And I think that that's the impressive thing, right, is you have a look at Azir, you have a look at Draven. If these champions get caught in rotation, they are very easy to pick off. You're going up against a Camille, Galio composition with a Talia. You feel like the Bombers should be able to generate pick or side lane threat, but that just has not been the case for the entirety of this game.
Yeah, Bernavec Volkan. Aggressive posturing. I think gonna have a hard time doing any significant damage to the Braum at this stage in the game. At least with the rest of the team there to respond. Has to now back off, but will lay down a little bit of vision. And get him out, Spawn. How do Bombers do it?
Well, at the moment, I think they have to, as I said, try and attack a side lane. I think that, you know, potentially you throw Ryoma plus Volcan at the Draven and try and fly in there with Rogue for a continued CC change. The danger is he's got 2 items and a couple of Brawlers glove and probably wants to fight you, as the name indicates. So I think, you know, that's one avenue. The second avenue is you just try and hold on. Fiora will win this game if it goes long enough. Just because has a very positive lane matchup into Ruin and is still ahead. That's going to be a cull cash in right there. So, you know, there's either the stall and pray tactic or try and attack the strong point of the map, which is when Hades catches the wave in this position. Because Azir can't go to a side lane, right? Azir's going to sit mid. He's a wave clear control mage. So you have to be able to take advantage of these situations when Hades catches a little bit too far up.
Of course, that is the one advantage it feels like Bombers have compositionally right now is the tools that they have to move.
Well, that's
across
what their
this
comp
map.
does, right? There, as you pointed out in Champions League, there is a semi-global comp that has the mobility to be able to get there first. And, you know, that means when we say things like Balulu and Curé rotate to the play first and clean up the team fight, it's even more impressive because it's kind of against the grain of the game. And really credit to the TCL representatives, showing that even though this game is slower, it's 18 kills in 18 minutes, but it's slower than the other games we've had today.
It was slower until that massive
no less terrifying
5-kill team fight in favor of Fenerbahce.
We've had some pretty quick games.
Yeah, it's been a breakneck pace. But you now see that the good news for Bombers is they do at least have one strong lane, and that is Mimic right now in the sense that he can go toe-to-toe with Ruin. You mentioned it already, has consistently a favorable matchup here, and it means the Bombers have at least one side of the map to play to. Now maybe we see the dive come in. Stun does connect. Parry, however, will not. I don't think you want to dive in early at this point. Ruin still in a comfortable position to survive, and Balkan incredibly far behind.
This is one of those times where Mimic is kind of getting free farm and pushing into a lane. You know, with gold, we'll get more ahead. Like, just don't go near him, because that gives kind of Fenerbahce permission to bring their strong members onto Mimic's side of the map, and that's what you don't want if you're Mimic. You want to avoid the, you know, 11,000 gold
double
Draven.
He's happy with the one-on-one. Don't
Yeah.
bring your friend. You know, he's doing fine.
Wow, that's a 4,000 gold lead for Hades.
I mean, after the last team fight, is it really wow? Are you surprised anymore? He's just now building attack speed items.
Let me tell you.
He went double Brawler's Glove after his 2 AD items.
So I agree with everything you just said. But when I have 7,000 gold, knowing there's someone that exists with 4,000 gold, more than that, that is very scary. And he's got the rapid fire cannon now as well, so he's just going to be popping people from very long range.
Yeah, this is going to be the one-punch man for Hades.
And once again, we criticized Fongvu's bottom lane, and they stepped up in their last game. We criticized, you know, Fenerbahce's bottom lane a little bit. They've smashed this game into FBI and Rogue, so
We have the power to change the world, is what you're telling me.
Absolutely. That's exactly what I just said.
We also criticized Balkan, and sadly it has not been a better performance, although a good buffer there. Hades now flashing forward, no hesitation. Immediately Balkan gonna get the ult and kick off. The Galio will be there for the follow-up, but no, the Kindred alive and well. Hades, they're gonna try to find the shutdown. They do get it. FBI grabs it as well. Now the Kindred is unlocked in the fight, but Bolu simply does too much damage. Ryoma with the consistent DPS trying to get it out, but Ruin is there to body block. Now the ulti will miss, and Rogue is gonna try to find the follow-up. Mimic instantly into the backside of the fight, wants to find those vitals. Stun does connect, with Mimic with good reaction time is going to be able to back off. Unbreakable buys a little bit of time. Ruin now potentially next on the list. Retreats to the Sun Disc, zoned off. Now they want to continue the exchange. Ruin running for his life. Will manage to make it out in the end, but that was a positive fight for the Bombers.
Certainly is, and they're still looking for Ruin here. No ward going to be dropped over the wall, although Mimic kind of knows where he is.
For the stun, wants to extend it, and he is going to be able to grab the chill. That's the ace! And Spawn, I didn't think there was any way out, but a beautifully played team fight shutting down Hades just turns this back in the favor of the Bombers.
And the combat Talia ult to be able to cut off any form of retreat, and the Bombers just pick their moment. As soon as Hades go forward, they pull the trigger, they go for the play. And kind of it looked like it was lining up for Fenerbahce, right? They get the ultimate across. You know, Azir should be able to get the shove back, but he chooses to go for the Azir sec back underneath his turret. That means enough damage registers for him to go down. And the soul laners of the Bombers survive. Mimic in particular has got enough gold at this point to be impactful as the Fiora, especially once the abilities are burnt. And, you know, picking up 2 kills on the back end only accelerates that split push potential.
And this is what we see. When you see Hades get caught out like that, you see the weakness of this kind of Kindred ult where Hades is absolutely the person with higher DPS, but when you're both sitting in a Kindred ult, it doesn't matter. And defensive Kindred ult always feels so, when you're using it aggressively, when you're moving in, when you kick off the fight, it feels so strong. But in that situation, bot time for Hades, but also bot time for Ryoma. You saw how much damage the Talia can do.
Yeah, you see that just when Ryoma able to move around and get multiple rotations out of that Q and Pebbles, certainly powerful. But now they just start up the Baron.
They definitely have the DPS to do this, but vision is there. It's been spotted out. Talia while zoning them out. It's not going to stop them from doing anything else. FBI going to try to steal. Now Ryoma has to flash into safety. Needs to retreat. Whirling Death going to do a lot of upfront damage there. FBI here in the midst of the fight. Mimic there on the backside. Desperately wants to get it back. Does get the parry off and now dashes out to safety. The taunt is there to find the disengage. FBI leaps into the backside. Balcon's still alive. That's the support taken down, but FBI is in trouble. Draven just cuts through him in an instant. And Balcon now running for his life. Fenerbahce pushing that gold lead through. The Draven still online, still alive, but no, there's the damage coming in. It is not enough. Kira able to use the ultimate, able to buy time. It is all on Mimic now. Can he save the day for the team? The parry comes out, manages to find one. Ryoma's here as well, and Bombers turn it back, but Bolulu wants to get it. The taunt is there as well. It is an absolute bloodbath, but Bolulu wants to. The rookie of the split for the TCL turns the fight.
And these team fights are insane. Back and forward after Baron is taken. They go for the fight. They don't decide to back away, but that's an 11-kill Azir now. Absolutely popping off on Summoner's Rift. It's just so back and forth, Dracos. You know, it looked like on the initial, you know, when Ryoma goes so low that it's going to be Fenerbahce favored, but it's just getting to a point where everyone has the gold to be able to go with it.
And no one has a front line. So it's all just, am I in the right place to deal damage to the right champions? And we saw, honestly, Ryoma playing that fight well to kill what looked like a Hades who, with that lifesteal, was just going to rampage through a fight. And
he two-hit FBI. Like, he just turned around and smacked him twice.
Literally saw him kill the Braum, was like, oh, free kill. Ran over. And credit to the Bombers, though, for turning what looked to be an impossible teamfight win around.
And you can see that the items are starting to stack up for the Bombers. You know, they've got themselves 3 items now. Sure, still a full item behind onto this Draven. You know, half an item on the Talia behind, but they're in touching distance. 7,000 gold, however, does mean that this is starting to become more meaningful. And it's not really the kills, it's the objectives. You know, got to check out the turrets. 2 behind, though this time Kirei face check.
Balcon immediately leaps in, is going to use the ultimate to lock him down. We'll get knocked up now by the Galio. Where's the follow-up? They're not going to have it. A lot of damage comes in from Ryoma. Hades now killing Balcon. Rogue on the front line, but it might not be enough. FBI to the backside. Pops the GA. Kirei next on the menu. Wants to get the kill. The heal now comes out, but Azir leaps forward and turns the fight. The wall stopping anything else from going down. Unraveled Earth going to grab another one. Kills exchanged back and forth. It is a 3-for-2, however, Bombers losing 3.
Yeah, and in the isolated 1v1, Mimic beat out Ruin. However, that was not the tale of this team fight. Bolulu and Hades, who are still pursuing the Bombers lineup, are tearing the Bombers apart. You know, Kirei's ultimate is too impactful against the Galio Camille combo, and then just the pure damage coming out of the Azir Draven are winning out for the TCL squad.
Beautiful use of the Azir ult, and while FBI, I felt like could have had a heroic moment, a heroic turnaround there. Kindred is also a very real DPS threat. And as we take a look back at this one, you can see, I feel like the right call from Balcon, but just did not see the rest of the team coming.
Well, what they're thinking is if we can ever stun lock Kirei, you know, that's a nice flick, then we'll be able to win out the fight before he gets the ultimate across. And you can see FBI flying in, gets tagged up, falls down, maybe some over-aggressive play. Mimic kind of says, hey guys, I did my job. Can I join the rest of the team fight now? And they say, no, run away. But really, this is coming down to positioning. And I think that Bolulu and Hades are just doing a much better job than, you know, FBI and Ryoma at this stage.
And just an incredibly close fight overall. Kira was inches away from death. He had no ultimate in that fight and just dashes out right into the Guardian proc for Braum.
Oh, it was a GA. It was a GA that was popped. I thought it was going to be Kirei's ultimate sailing again, but it was a GA from Hades.
It's the same situation because Hades doesn't get the Guardian proc on himself, and it's instead used on Kirei. He uses a GA, but in the process essentially saves his jungler's life.
Right? Ryoma looking again, by the way.
Wants to get it started. There's still a tower there from the Azir, though. The Sundesk is a huge threat. They're just trying to force them back. Bolulu caught on the opposite side of the wall. Mimic can continue to look for the 1v1, but I don't think Kirei is going to let it happen. So a lot is going to come down to this parry. If he can land it on multiple members, it could turn a fight. Ooh, quick dash out. Huge damage. How much time is he going to buy? They're going to bring him back. Ryoma not going to be able to sidestep. Still a lot of damage. Bolulu now in a killing spree, moving forward. FBI it's just barely going to be able to survive. Fenerbahce now bullying their way into the base. They're spending their health. They're spending their cooldowns to break this base wide open.
And look how aggressive the rookie from the TCL is. just able to generate 100 CS lead. Oh,
knocked back right into the middle of the team. FBI now going to be able to free hit. This could be massive. Good ult from the Aurelia. Multiple members locked up. The taunt going to come in right as it starts to fade, but it's going to be huge. Ryoma, can he do it? Rogue trying to find the retreat. FBI hitting home on so many members, but Kirei does a lot of damage. 4 strong, but low health bars. It's going to come down to execution. Ryoma, can he get this one? Buying a bit more time. FBI in trouble. Ryoma manages to find one. Needs to pull back. There's no tower to run from. Will sacrifice his life to kill the Azir, but gets the shutdown and may be able to buy a bit more time for the team. Balkan back up. FBI alive. It's a 3v2 if FB want to end the game right here.
Yeah, it's still 20-second death time. Is they going to go for it?
Where's the stun going to go? It's going to be crucial. Gonna get knocked up, looking for Kirei, looking for the 1v1. FBA trying to move across the fight, uses the Zanya's Hourglass. Balkan needs to find the stunner, he's just gonna die. Hades is too big. They take out the jungler, but at what cost? The game
still 9 seconds on Rogue, gets done.
Rogue coming in, they're just gonna free hit onto this one. Desperately, Balkan wants to get it back, but Fenerbahce are not gonna have it. They are not afraid to play a bloody game, and they are more than happy to go 2-0 up in the group.
And I feel like we said it was a little bit more slow, but it was still 47 kills, I believe, in the end. And this is just 2 teams that are not taking an inch backwards. In Fongvu versus Fenerbahce, every time a team steps towards them, even when it looks like they should be going for resets, they just say, no, we will take the skill check, we will take the team fight, and we will come out ahead. Balkan, honestly looking confused at his screen, needs to pull himself together for the Bombers lineup, but credit to Fenerbahce. They are a dominant squad.
Hard, I mean, once again, you have to praise Fenerbahce. They mixed it up, they played around the bottom side of the map, they were willing to sacrifice Ruin, and it paid off. The team looked so good across those fights. Bolulu, not a guy anymore that we can just peg as, hey, this guy plays utility, because that was a monster Azir performance, and Turkey can be proud of that man.
Completely, like, different signs from Fenerbahce. You know, talk about being